5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. Yay! So this is a podcast where my co-host and I listen or watch all of the Cincinnati-based craft beer media from the previous week. We get together at a podcast host, and today we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you, Higher Gravity, for being a gracious podcast host. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other craft beer media and podcasts, and so far, so good. I think they may
We're
be
on a roll, yeah.
taking some time off for the holidays and certain situations. So we're doing all right there. My name is Marco. I'm a chapter manager here locally, and the other voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
My name is Julia, and I had something really good for this, but I just completely blanked. It is Beervent season.
It is.
And I am so freaking happy. As of recording this, we are 5 days into Beervent season.
Woo!
It has been absolutely fantastic.
What's up with all these Beervent boxes still
I
here?
know. There's still, what, 2, 3... There are like almost 20 Beervent boxes here that still have not been picked up.
Sad.
What is happening, people?
Sad.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hopefully they still enjoy them when they do come to pick them up.
Yeah.
And if they don't pick them up by January 1st, the fine folks at Higher Gravity will enjoy all the beers for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you're enjoying the posts that I'm putting on the Truth Beer podcast. Wow. Truth Beer and Podsequences Facebook page. I'm sharing all of the parodies and commentary and all that as I
love it.
As I go over what each day's beer is, and I have so much fun with it. So here's to another year of people not getting too terribly annoyed with all of my posts.
They're great. I love them.
Good. I'm glad. I do it for you, Marco.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as Higher Gravity or our full-time jobs. That being said, we appreciate you and thank you for your listenership. Thank you, everyone who's been with us for a long time, and thank you to everyone who is new. We would not be a good craft beer podcast if we weren't having some sort of beverage.
That's true.
So, Julia,
Marco,
what you drinking?
I am drinking something from a brewery that I've never had before.
Okay.
Fair State Brewing.
That's
This
fair.
is called Favor of the Foxes. Love the name. It is a
What
dark.
does the fox say?
It says, "Give me a dark lager with coffee."
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and dog agrees. It's pretty daggone good. I'm enjoying this one a lot.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nick said it was good.
Yeah, I really like it. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's any lactose in it. It doesn't look like it, but sometimes with coffee
I'll skip it.
type beers and all that, right. So apologies for not offering you any. I don't want to kill you.
Producer Nick was here earlier, and
He
now
was.
we have
Is
producer...
it Christy?
I am having a, what is this, Blue Bear or some...
Cave Bear? Bear Cave?
Bear Cave? Bear Cave.
Cave Bear?
From Rheingeist.
Delicious.
It is a Imperial IPA. So this one's for you there, Dippa Josh.
Hell yeah.
Hope you're doing well there, buddy. And yeah, it's very good.
Good.
Very good. It is hoppy yet smooth, and it's clear and not hazy. But yeah, it's good. I
Excellent.
I like it.
All right. We have, I believe, 5 pieces of Cincinnati-based craft beer media to talk about today.
Okay, which is at least 3 more than last week.
It is. Yeah, last week we had 2, but
The
we
news.
also had a lot of fun doing bonus content.
We did. Hopefully everybody went and listened to and hopefully enjoyed that content.
Yeah. I will say that after we stopped recording, I did realize, and I talked to you about this when we were done recording, I was getting raisin. Raisin was the flavor note that I was getting out of the 2023 base family tradition that I couldn't pick out. I was saying not tannic, but maybe like a date or something like that.
Didn't I say raisin?
You said raisin when we did the barley one.
Oh,
And when
okay.
you said that, that's when it kind of clicked. Oh, that seems to be the same taste that I feel like I'm getting out of the 2023 base. Maybe I was making it up, but either way, it was delicious. It was fantastic.
So your truth.
It is my truth. All right, the pieces of media that we are going to talk about today. Let's make sure we're on the same page, that we took notes on the on the same thing. Yes, there we go. I'm telling you, this is going to be a fun night. We have Blake the Brewery Explorer. We have 2 pieces of content that we're going to go over today for him. One was episode 12, where he and a bunch of other people talked about the accumulation of season 1 of Blake the Brewery Explorer. And then also tied to Blake the Brewery Explorer, we're going to be talking about the latest Thirsty Thursday YouTube video. It was also shared to Facebook and a couple other places where they recapped season 1. It was posted on November the 30th. So did you catch that one as well? It was like a 10-minute episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
all right.
Talking about Blake the Brewery Explorer, the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And things that are happening with that. That'll be kind of a quick recap, but just there's some cool things that are happening there that we'll tell you about and give you little teasers for. Then we have so this one's going to be a little weird, and we'll get to why it's a little weird when we talk about it. The Craft Parroting Podcast, their 2023 Higher Gravity Beervent Calendar preview.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That was also both YouTube and podcast. Then we have Brew Skies Booze News
Yes,
from
the
December
booze
the 4th.
news.
And then we have a national show to talk about, a national podcast, Brewbound podcast, where they talked about garage beer.
Yep.
Awesome. So it looks like we have the exact same shows in our repertoire. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with the oldest one.
Okay, so the Blake.
Blake.
The Blake series, we'll call it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll start with the Blake series.
Okay. So this was, as just said, episode 12, Cheers to Season 1. This one was recorded at Third Eye's Hamilton location with the Craft Parenting Podcast, the Misbehavior Podcast, and Zach Hawley. It was a really fun conversational podcast. It wasn't here's a list of questions that we want all of our guests to answer, kind of like, it wasn't an interview type podcast. It was, let's all get together and just talk about craft beer and just kind of the podcast tie-ins for that.
Right. It was more free flow than long form.
Exactly. They started with how everyone got into craft beer. Some of the stories we've heard before. Some of the stories were new to me. I don't know. I think you've listened to more Misbehavior episodes than I have. Caroline immediately started. Caroline immediately started by name dropping Mike D. Morgan, Brett, and shouting out the Brew Skies conglomerate of what they're doing, both Brew Skies Booze News and the Brew Skies Happy Hour podcast, which everyone should be listening to. The Brew Skies Happy Hour podcast. It is an amazing oral history of craft beer in America.
Mike is a professor who also has he teaches a class on beer.
Yes.
Did you know that Julia? Did you know that Caroline went to a class, a beer class in college?
I want to say that I did hear that before.
Did you know she was a engineer as well?
I did know that as well.
If you didn't know,
mad props.
If you didn't know,
Caroline,
now you know,
yeah.
or you could listen to the podcast and find out.
True that. During the interview, or it's not an interview, during the conversation, I want to step back and correct myself. They had a 6-beer flight, so as the conversation went, you will hear them say, okay, well, let's try this beer next, and this is one that so-and-so picked, and this is what they had. So they talked a bit about the beer. Caroline actually let Joe take over reading the beer descriptions. Normally, that's kind of Caroline's realm. Normally, she owns that part of the Craft Parenting Pod, but this time she let Joe take the reins, and he did a phenomenal job of talking about what Third Eye said about their beers. They discussed who's an IPA person and who is not an IPA person. Did you know IPAs are Zach Hawley's favorite beers?
Oh, yeah.
He is 100% the IPA guy.
The
Absolutely.
IPA guy.
Yeah, so if you didn't know,
now you know.
check that out. They talked about the
But he's not a double IPA guy.
No, he is not.
Like
singular.
Like Josh.
Like my Josh.
Like your Josh.
Exactly.
Josh.
Exactly. They talked about the importance of craft breweries and how sometimes you might not be aware of how many smaller craft breweries are in your own neighborhoods until you just kind of get out and just start looking like, what is available to me? What is part of my hometown? Do I need to go for a macro or a nationally distributed craft beer when I could potentially get something just as good or even better from the brewery that I didn't even know was just 2 or 3 blocks away from me, or that was on the same street as a couple other amazing craft breweries.
Seek them out, find them. Go to the different spaces, support the local businesses.
Yeah.
Not only are they local businesses, but a lot of them try to be community hubs and do activities for the community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Third Eye's no different in that regard, and quite possibly a leader, depending on what cause you find important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Yeah, if you're going to a new area of town or, a different part, maybe you're going closer to the Dayton area or the Columbus area, the Akron area, bring up Google Maps for where you are, the areas that you're going to be in, and just start zoom it a little bit, scroll around, and see if there's a brewery or what sounds like a brewery. See if there's a bottle shop, a tap room that pops up, and visit and, give your money to these small local places. It is incredibly important.
Well, it's not just a donation. They provide something great for you in exchange.
Well,
let's not.
No, right, but yeah.
The brewery may be doing good things in the community and then give back to the community as well.
But you need to buy their beer so that they can continue to give back to the
absolutely.
community. Yes.
And usually that transactional interaction also helps to grow a real just emotional connection to the place. And that's how they're able to sustain through, tough times during the year when, people don't get out or there isn't as much going on to drive people out versus when, people come out of their hibernation and, just kind of let their hair down, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. They talked about the 513, we're going to cheers on this one, craft beer. We cheers when we say things wrong intentionally.
Cheers.
Facebook group that Zach Hawley started, how it came to be, why it came to be. So if you have not heard the origin story of that group before, here's another reason to listen to this episode. Mm-hmm. Talked about kind of some of the influences to it and all that. From there, it kind of jumped into Sam Adams being the standard for craft beer, which I do agree with.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right.
I think there's a collection of breweries. I mean, it's extremely small.
Local. Yeah,
it's extremely small. Sierra Nevada, Sam Adams. Sierra Nevada was one of the ones that came out.
Anchor.
And Anchor.
Yep.
RIP. We'll talk about them.
We'll talk about them a little later. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a very, very small collection of craft breweries that just yes. Let's just say yes.
But if you're focusing on kind of the Cincinnati craft beer,
without a doubt,
realm, bubble, whatever, and kind of trying to keep things tied into that. Yeah, Sam Adams Boston beer, without a doubt,
for sure,
is kind of the standard for what any craft brewery would want to do.
You and I were both talking about it just before we hit the record button. Mm-hmm. We have not had the remastered Sam Adams Boston Lager.
We have not. So I'm almost done with my beer.
Possible that we're going to do that. Yeah.
So how about we finish talking about this episode of Blake the Brewery Explorer, my bad.
Kind of a mouthful there.
It is. And then kind of their YouTube little teaser video that they did.
Yep.
And then we'll take a quick break. I want to get a little more water just to make sure that this stupid dry spot in my throat is gone so I don't, die again during this podcast.
Yeah, don't die.
Yeah, let's not do that. They had a big question when it came to podcasting and people that are influential in the Cincinnati craft beer sphere. That's kind of hard to say.
That also sphere. Is a tongue twister.
Maybe I'm doing this to myself. I'm making my own life harder by putting these words together.
It's possible.
Who is the gnarly gnome?
I know what he is right now, and he's infirmed. Unfortunately, he's sick. Let's pour one out.
Well, I'm not going to pour out any beer.
No, we don't do that.
But we're going to cheers to
cheers
the gnome.
To the gnarly gnome.
And his family's health.
Yeah, because they're a little bit under the weather. But you know what's good is that if they're going to get sick, go ahead and get it out of the way before after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, get that shit out of the way.
Perfect timing.
The
family knows what they're doing.
No doubt they probably picked up something around other family, being around other family members, around Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And the other things that they do around Thanksgiving.
Exactly. They talked about how Craft Parenting Podcast started. So you got a little of the history on that. Mm-hmm. They did not, and please correct me if I somehow did not hear this at all.
Okay.
They never really talked about the Misbehavior podcast, who they are, how they started.
Yeah, they did.
And I don't know if that's because
of the butt plugs.
Well, okay, so either, but that's not part of who they are anymore, unless you scroll back far enough on their Facebook
page.
But I don't know if that's because. Well, no, I mean, there's really no good reason for it, but I'm just kind of curious. I wonder why, because they introduced him in the beginning as, we're here with Zach Hawley and these fine folks from Craft Parenting Pod and these fine folks from Misbehavior Podcast, but they never really dug into misbehavior and who they are. And I don't know if it was just they said, and we don't want to talk about the podcast, or if it was just an honest, as the conversation goes.
I think they just got railroaded, meaning they just got.
There was nothing intentional about it.
No,
but it was something that
totally skipped over, unintentionally.
Sure. Everyone was participating fully in the conversation. It wasn't like.
Misbehavior is a podcast where one of the actual co-hosts ends up hosting everyone and then providing the samples, and then some of the samples are blind tasting, I believe.
Right. But yeah, I got to the end. I'm looking over my notes. I'm like,
wait a second. Beer, not butt plugs. Totally
different podcasts. Then they dove into some topics that we've talked about before when recapping Brew Skies Booze news. The younger generations are not drinking as much, and how potentially the passing of Issue 2, the legalization of marijuana in Ohio, might affect that, or if it will affect that. What will you potentially see happen with that? I personally think that, sure, you're probably going to have some brewery that's going to try to throw, some weed into beer and be like, hey, it's a THC beer, but I think the government's going to shut that down pretty quickly.
Oh, you can't do it.
And not allow. Someone's going to try. Someone's going to try to do a small batch.
You just can't do it.
But, right.
Yeah, even in Colorado, it's legal. Back recreational marijuana was legal there. You can't throw marijuana into an alcohol product. That's why State Brewing, the guy who started and created Blue Moon, he started State Brewing. He's a THC beer, but it's all alcohol free. You're not gonna be able to mix the two unless you're doing it at home, and you can do whatever the fuck you want there.
True that. Then they talked about light lager from local breweries and how that's just becoming more and more of a thing. Which is true. It's always been a thing.
So a light beer at a brewery has been a thing. Why? Because they don't serve big beer, light beer. They serve their own light beer. So whether it's a blonde ale or whether it's a light lager or a pilsner, they all have one. It's just the marketing and the distribution of such has come on a lot more recently, and it's because people who they honestly it's. Better beer, yes, but it's more about getting it from... That's really one of the few things where people still feel in craft beer where local matters. Like, a lot of people now have migrated. Like, craft beer's good. Craft beer can be good coming from across the United States as long as it's within a freshness period.
Sure.
And I like supporting my local place, but if I really enjoy drinking this craft beer, then I will. But if my local craft brewery is providing a light lager in a large format, I want to find the one I like and support them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a little bit of a tweak in the market lately.
Yeah, I agree with that. There were a lot of really good conversation pieces to this entire episode. Definitely worth a listen. I feel like in this episode you don't get to know a lot about who Blake is, Noah is, Blake the Brewery Explorer, that whole, the whole podcast is. This was really, because it doesn't follow the typical format of his show.
Right.
But this was a really fun conversation between a group of craft beer enthusiasts, all of whom have a social media presence, be it a podcast, a Facebook group, websites, that type of thing. So it is definitely worth checking out and supporting. And when Blake does podcasts with Cincinnati breweries, because he's not located in Cincinnati, but he's close enough that
It's technically Troy, Ohio.
Correct. But he's close enough that he comes into town, Cincinnati area, to talk to Cincinnati breweries. And when those shows happen, that
talk
fits in
about
our
it.
wheelhouse.
Actually, one of the few people in this sort of sphere that we haven't met yet.
That's true. I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
I'm sure.
Yeah. That's all. Blah.
Blah, blah.
Again,
In the blah, blah.
this is. I'm telling you, it's
Into
great
the
night.
blah, blah, with the connection into the blah.
Exactly. I'm glad you knew exactly what I was trying to say there. Mm-hmm. Those were all the notes that I had on this particular episode. Did you have anything else before we move into the Blake the Brewery Explorer YouTube Thirsty Thursday episode?
All I have is this one right here where it says
Okay, but
blah, blah, in the blah, blah, blah.
You actually had that written down? Oh
Yep.
my God.
There it is.
How did you know I was going to say that?
I just knew.
You just knew? You knew that I would stumble over the end of the recap?
And we share the same birthday.
This is
So
true.
I know things.
This is true. We do have that kind of connection. All right, so Thirsty Thursdays with Blake the Brewery Explorer and Noah Jones, who is the producer, co-host. He does a whole lot for the podcast. This was an episode that
He
they posted.
steers the ship, so to speak.
True that.
Noah.
True that. This was a YouTube episode that I believe was also reshared to the Blake the Brewery Explorer Facebook page, other social medias, on November 30th of 2023. It was only about a 10-minute long episode where they just did a recap of Season 1. It was really cool because they talked about, in the beginning, one of the most important things to talk about, propane and propane accessories.
Love propane.
And propane accessories.
Love them.
Got a real, Hank Hill thing going on there.
Love it.
Absolutely love it. They had a fantastic first season.
By the way, deep fried turkey, best turkey.
I would agree with that. Followed
Okay.
by second is smoked turkey.
Yeah.
Like just a full smoked. I don't care if you spatchcock it or however you do it, but
Yep.
a full-on smoked turkey, phenomenal. And then after that is just like your oven, normal, standard turkey prep.
Yeah, that would come in 3 out of a tier of 3.
How long would it take to sous vide a turkey? Like a whole, let's say a 20-pound turkey.
Shit, I don't know.
Big old bird.
I don't know.
That'd be a lot
You
of...
still got to do something with it after.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, you got to finish it.
Right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Deep fry.
Yeah.
I wonder how long you'd have to deep fry it after it was sous vide.
Ooh, good question. Very good question.
3.5 minutes a pound at 350 degrees. And that oil there to fry the turkey.
As long as you don't set your house on fire first.
Dumb people do that.
It's true.
If you know what you're doing, you'll never set your house on fire doing that.
If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it, and let someone else do it until
Good.
they can properly teach you how to deep fry a turkey.
The more you know.
Do. I don't have a button for that. Maybe I should. I'll think about it.
Maybe in 2024 we'll have
Okay.
a few more buttons into the some of the other stuff.
Sounds good. Going back to Blake the Brewery Explorers Thirsty Thursdays, they had a fantastic first season. They spoke with people from a whole bunch of amazing breweries.
I'm in
And
the
it was
business and I
really-
couldn't speak with them people.
I know, it's true. It was really cool hearing how excited the two of them were going. Man, our first episode, we got to talk to this person from this brewery. And
Yeah.
then, throughout the season, we got to talk to this general manager and this brewer and this owner. And just
It's great.
the amount of awe at what they've been able to do in the first season of their podcast.
It's good.
I loved it. It was absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is going to be a really short recap because it was a short show, and we don't want to give you everything. We want you to
We
watch
spent
and
30
listen.
minutes talking about the first show.
I know. We're trying to be better at some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You got
Not
some,
everything. Please don't
True,
expect
right.
that of us.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. You got some previews of some upcoming shows at both Warped Wing and Almatic.
Nice.
Both of those, I don't know if they're going to be doing the Warped Wing here in Mason or in Dayton. I'm assuming probably Dayton because Almatic's in Dayton, and that is closer to where Blake and I'm assuming Noah are. So we may not recap them just depending on how that fits.
Yeah, I mean, just know that, like we said, it's a Cincinnati. What we do is Cincinnati based, or greater Cincinnati area based. Once you throw the word Dayton in there, we're like, yeah, it's
outside the bubble. Yeah.
Outside the bubble.
Yep.
But
We
please,
still typically listen to the shows. We
Yeah.
just don't. It's just not something that
not
fits
something we're going to
into-
talk about here. But
Otherwise,
please,
do you know how long our episodes would be if we tried to do that?
we'd have to be here 2 Tuesdays a week.
Yes.
Right.
However, that would happen.
Right.
Yes. They had some really cool thoughts on talking to smaller breweries versus bigger breweries. Like, for example, a Rheingeist versus I just completely blank. Crooked Handle, yes, with some of the smaller breweries. That was really cool to hear their experiences with that. And as we teased a little earlier in our show, they have some big news.
Big news.
About the podcast rebranding, how it's being distributed, what you are going to see from them in season 2, which I'm assuming is going to start in the new year. They didn't really say when season 2 starts.
Very jealous. I want to say this, Julia. I know you and I we watched.
Yeah.
And we know what the news is.
We do.
I think
cool.
It's fantastic. It's awesome. I'm
Agree.
very jealous. I don't know what that means though. I don't know what the change means.
Well, there were 2 big changes.
Well, I was probably jealous of only one.
Of only one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Listen or watch rather.
To find out which one.
Which one? Yeah. Let us know. Let us know which one you think Marco is the most jealous of.
Yeah. And congratulations to them.
Absolutely. Can't
still
wait to see
don't know what any
they
of
do.
it means, but I'm jealous.
It's fine. They're still going to put out a great show, and we're still going to talk about it when they talk to
Well, that's
Cincinnati
the difference. So
Brewers.
they put out a great show, and then we put out what we put out.
Ours is decent.
Is that what came back in the survey that people are sending to the Gnarly Gnome?
We have not received the feedback.
People are complaining about us to him.
Yeah, he there might be a reason that he's not sharing that information with us. Like, oh God.
No, but he should.
He should.
Yeah.
Maybe if I get my shit together, maybe at the end of the year or like early January.
No shits are getting together.
I will, probably not. But if I do, maybe I'll put out a small survey on our social medias, linked to like a Google form, just asking.
The best podcast you've ever listened to, or the best podcast that ever could be listened to?
Yes.
See, there you go.
There you go. Did you have anything else on Blake the Brewery Explorers Thirsty Thursday from November 30th before we move on?
No, but I do like the fact that much like we have done, they have put out audio, they put out video, we've done call-in shows, we've called guests, we've done so they're spreading their wings.
Yeah,
they're a young podcast still, as are we. We're only in year 2 or whatever. So I like that they're doing different things, and so that's cool. And so I like that.
Good deal. I know that your beer's getting low. Mine's pretty much gone. What do you say we take a quick break? And how about we roll into Craft Parenting Pod when we get back?
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. We will be right back, guys. Guys, we are
back.
And we have, wow, I don't know what happened to my voice there. We have.
You good?
I'm good.
You are good.
I am good. We have Sam Adams
Remastered Boston Lager.
So, but yeah, this is both of our first time having the remastered Boston Lager. Mm-hmm. You just took a sip, so
I did.
You tell people your thoughts while I take my first sip of this fine golden colored beverage.
That's a good tasting beer.
That's fantastic.
It's a really good tasting beer.
And I feel bad. I don't necessarily remember exactly what the previous version tasted like. Being able to do a side-by-side would be fun. But just this as is, knowing that I don't very clearly remember what it was like before they remastered it, this is fine. I would happily drink this.
That's a good beer.
In volume, yeah.
That's a good beer. And the problem I see is that I think the overarching problem with it still remains. It's a really good beer. It was, in its previous form, a really good beer. Mm-hmm. It is currently a very good beer. This is a great beer.
Yeah.
It's going to get lost. It just gets lost in the landscape of, in our local market.
I agree.
In our local market, it gets lost amongst all of the wonderful beer we have to select from. Now, you go outside of our market, you go into other markets that are a little more craft starved or deprived. Yes, Boston Lager is fantastic beer, and you should get it. You go into an airport, and it's everything that Bud owns and Boston Lager, get you a Boston Lager.
Right.
But in our market, it gets lost. And it has a place.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
It has a place, but it is absolutely delicious. But yeah, it's just going to get lost. Now you could make the argument, okay, if you want an amber beer, especially an amber lager,
right.
what other beer are you going to get? Well, they have Happy Amber, but that's an ale. It's not a lager here on tap. They had Saunders Lager, Amber Lager.
Yeah.
That's not on tap here. And you're right, but walking in somewhere and wanting an amber ale feels like 1998. So maybe 2005.
But this is fantastic.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I'm glad that we saw it and went, we're getting it, we're fine. Because we've talked about it before. And it was like, we need to try the new one. Well, I got my shit together and we're trying the new one.
Yep.
All right, speaking of Cincinnati Craft. Let's talk about the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Okay.
Episode 125, the 2023 Higher Gravity Beervent Calendar Preview, which I feel is slightly misleading.
Okay.
Because when I hear preview, I think you're going to get either little teasers or ideas of what's in the box.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Which they are very good to not expose anything that's in the box. I don't believe that they're one of the people out there that, the first thing they do is they lift off the lid and they see what's in there.
Oh, you mean assholes?
Exactly. Well, just lifting the lid and seeing what's in the calendar, that's fine. It's posting about it.
Yeah, it's posting about it.
Before that day's beer is pulled, that makes you an asshole.
Yeah.
They don't do that. So,
no, absolutely not.
And I do want to say, before we get into this specific episode, every day of Beervent, they are actually releasing a podcast and YouTube video showcasing what that day's Beervent beer is. And they did say that sometimes they might be bulk recording these, so they may be pulling a couple days early. But again, they're not telling you about it until the day of.
Yeah, they're not.
So
they're not releasing them until.
Zero issue with that.
No, at all. It's actually it's just smart, right?
Oh, it really is.
A couple of smart people doing a podcast. But yes, that's what they're doing.
That's engineering and marketing tied into one cohesive unit.
So just
absolutely.
Yeah. But so I mean, you can see that they're batch recording, so to speak, and that's good because it works for them and their lifestyle and their parents, and they got parent shit going on.
Absolutely.
And parent shit going on when the kids are super young is different than parent shit.
I mean,
going on.
I'll be honest. I find it hard sometimes to just post about that day's beer. Trying to figure out, okay, we have to do like a video about this, talking about we're kind of getting like all over the place with this. But what I wanted to say is we are not going to talk about every single day's podcast and video episode that they do for every single day's beer, because we've said,
Liam.
We're gonna get Liam done.
Liam, get over here.
Hey, Liam, we need your help on this one. Can you let the people know? Are we going to talk about every single day's Beervent Craft Parenting Pod episode?
No.
Okay. Not that they're not fantastic, but I mean, again, it's
fuck out of here.
He did his job.
Yeah,
that's all we pay him for. Well, we don't really pay him, but he did what we asked him to do.
He takes a Jameson.
That's true. Is that going on your tab or my tab this week? I forget.
I think it's your turn.
My turn? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, I think it was on mine last time. So.
Right, and that's fine. I just sometimes I don't remember from week to week, so I appreciate. I don't want to pass on one of my weeks.
Jameson's on Julie.
But what they're doing with the daily Beervent post, and Mark, if you want to go into a little bit more detail of this,
sure,
is kind of, we would just be recapping exactly what they're going to be saying, which isn't really fun
we're not
for anyone. So, Marco, do you want to run down what those posts are?
Yeah, so the beginning's a little bit about what you would expect. Like they give their intro just like anybody gives their intro, and then they go into the beer.
Today's beer
is, and then they read what's on the can or the description, whether it be on Untapped or from Rate Beer or whatever it is, and they give you that information. If they have questions about some of the ingredients in the beer, they try and look up answers to those questions. And then
is there lactose in the beer, that type of thing.
That does come up, by the way.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they tell you about the brewery itself, because the Higher Gravity Beervent calendar is assembled, and most of the time there's not a repeating brewery.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they will be talking for the 25 days of Beervent about 25 different breweries.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially what it's been. And if they have personal anecdotes or stories or connections to any of the breweries, they go in and discuss those and elaborate upon that. So that's what they've been so far.
So basically, if you want a deep dive into any of the day's Higher Gravity Beervent beers, these are definitely episodes that you should check out. Check out the days you're interested in. Listen to all of them or watch all of them. They're all going to be fantastic. But what we're going to do, I say a deep dive. It wasn't a very long episode of the preview episode. So kind of the overarching, this is what the next 25 days are going to be composed of mostly. That's what we're going to talk about, because I think Beervent season, Higher Gravity's Beervent season, has become a lot of people in Cincinnati's favorite season of the year.
It's fun.
It is a lot of fun. People are already going, I can't believe I missed that. When do pre-orders start? When can I get one for next year?
I love that.
And we're not even a full week into, I mean, it'll be a full week when this episode posts, but as of now, we're not even a full week into Beervent, and people are already going, I can't believe I missed out. I need to know about this for next year, which just warms the cockles, as you might say, in previous episodes. So they start this episode 125, with what is or who is Higher Gravity. And then it goes from who Higher Gravity is as a bottle shop, as a location, into Beervent. And I want to thank them so very much for kind of shouting out like my take on Beervent and kind of what I do for every day of Beervent, which I just started.
What do you do, Julia?
Every day I look at the beer that's pulled. I try to see, are there any associated holidays, events? Same thing that Higher Gravity does. They make it is every single day of Beervent.
Every day.
And I will come up with a
like Bone Thugs.
Yeah. First of the month.
It's the first of the
every single first of the month, I try to remember to listen to it.
That was the first song?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was a snippet of that. Because my God, they rap too damn fast, and I'm like, I am stressing myself out way too much about this.
Every time I hear that, I think of the Key and Peele Bone Thugs and Harmony sketch.
That was a good one.
That was really
a really good one.
I think they did it twice.
Okay.
But nonetheless, it's a great sketch.
Look it up on the YouTubes. But what they kind of talked about, what I do for Beervent, and I've done this for the last 3 years, I think. 4, 3, I don't know, at least 3 that I can recall.
You at least did it the year before we got together for Truth Beer Pop.
Right. So
I
think
like
it's
you
only
did it the year before that too.
I might have. It's everything all blends together. But I pull the beer and then I'll make up a parody of a song, or post a kind of commentary on what I'm thinking about and how it relates to that day's beer somehow. And I post it it used to be just to the Cincinnati Craft Beer Club group, because I didn't think anyone else would really care about like the funny things that I'm doing about pulling a beer every single day. But now with our page, I also post those same things to the Truth Beer and Consequences Facebook page, so that more people can see them and either enjoy them or go, oh my God, we have to put up with this for how many more days? So it's great. It's been a lot of fun. I've gotten a lot of really fun feedback on it. I was finally called the Mariah Carey of Beervent season.
Yay!
Like, hey, we know when Julia starts to like come out of hiding, it's Beervent time, and I wear that as both a badge of honor and a challenge, because oh my God, how can you top Mariah Carey? So, but yeah,
not even gonna touch that.
Enough on that. To tie back into Craft Parenting Pod, from what is Higher Gravity to kind of my take on Beervent and the parodies that I do. Then they dove into what is Beervent, which they read a lot from the Higher Gravity, not Facebook page, from their website, the kind of the facts on Beervent, how the boxes are built, what goes into picking the beers for each day, how early in the year they start planning this. I mean, they practically start planning this very shortly after the end of December because they do work incredibly hard to find great breweries and great beer that aren't typically found here in Cincinnati or aren't distributed in Cincinnati. So these aren't beers that you can just find on any bottle shop shelf or even the higher gravity shelves. These are specially chosen beers that they work with their distributors and other breweries to bring in. And then they also every year work with a handful, anywhere from like 5 to 7 local breweries to brew a beer that you can only get packaged in the Beervent boxes. If that brewery has excess, you might see it on tap at higher gravity and at that brewery specifically. If they have a couple extra cans that they got from after filling out the Beervent boxes, they might show up on the shelves. But you're not going to see them everywhere. You're not going to see them at every bottle shop, in every, gas station. These are special.
Yeah.
And they are fun. Let's see, Joe and
Good
Caroline did try to stalk us on the day that Joe picked up his Beervent calendar.
Yeah. Not
And-
flattered, but yeah.
But we caught wind and said, uh-oh, we got a stalker in our midst.
That's it.
We need to jet.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was a complete miss on my part. Joe had sent a message saying like, hey, you may have a peanut gallery for your recording tonight. And I didn't have time to check my phone that day, and I completely missed it. So my sincerest apologies to Joe. Hopefully you still stayed and had a beer or two before taking your Beervent box home.
Yeah. Too bad we missed you.
Yeah.
But
now I will say that there is a correction I have to make to one of the things that they mentioned. The last 2 years, Higher Gravity has offered if you pre-order in July, so like the whole Christmas in July thing.
oh, I knew you were going to bring this up.
I just want to make sure because Caroline said
Caroline.
if you pre-ordered early enough, you got a glass, which was correct last year. Last year
Correct.
there was a special pint glass that you got.
This
with the
year was an
design-
extra beer.
Correct. So last year was a glass with a design by Scott Hand, who does all of Urban Artifacts artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely stunning, beautiful glass. This year, it's not a glass. It is a 26th beer. It is an extra beer in your Beervent box. I'm assuming that it's going to be on the 25th because it wasn't in the first day. There's only been a single beer in each day so far. So I don't know where that extra beer is going to show up. You might know. I don't know. So
When I showed up to start filling the boxes,
Yeah.
all of the pre-order boxes were already filled.
we're already done. Yeah. So you don't know where they showed up.
No.
I mean, and again, and knowing Higher Gravity, knowing the care that Nick and Jason put into these boxes, there could be a holiday or something in the middle of the month where they're like, this is where that extra beer is going.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't-
and I wouldn't tell you.
And I would hope not. I absolutely love the surprise, and I have told both Jason, Nick, Adam, all of the fine, amazing producers here at Higher Gravity, I would love to help you guys put these together because I know what an absolute labor it is. But I don't want to help you because I don't want any of it to be surprised. Like, I don't want any of that exposed to me beforehand.
Right. You don't want to spoil the surprise for yourself.
So if you listen to this episode of, you should listen to this episode of Craft Parenting Podcast, but when Caroline says
Caroline.
that if you ordered in July, you get a glass this year, that's not true. You got a glass last year. This
Sorry
year,
to disappoint you,
pre-orders,
Caroline. Caroline.
Get an
you get
extra
another
beer.
beer.
Let's see.
Don't
we
know
already-
what day it is, though.
We already talked about how they're going to be posting a podcast each day of Beervent.
So much.
Their guesses and hopes for what's in this year's box were phenomenal. Joe apparently wants a ton of RTDs in this year's Beervent box.
And Bud Lights.
Yes.
He's just like, I need.
He's like, I want something different. I need
Caroline RTDs and Bud Lights.
Caroline won't let him buy Bud Light. She doesn't want that shit in her house. So Joe's hoping that the Beervent calendar
She keeps a.
is the way that he does that. Which, good for Caroline.
Yeah.
Good for her on having standards.
She runs that house. And
Yeah.
She,
She has standards for what she wants brought into her house. And I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
She said we must protect this house.
Let's see. Their guesses on if there may be a, air quotes, prank beer or a joke type beer in this year's box. And Joe already has a Google Doc and a calendar of exactly what their beer event recording schedule is going to be.
Of course he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, those posts have been fantastic. So
And
again,
Joe's voice changes. He runs through.
He is going through puberty.
And in episode, was that 4?
it would have to be.
Is episode 4?
Because today, as we're recording this, it's day 5 of Beervent, and I didn't recall seeing a post today yet. So it would have to be day 4.
That was day 4.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
Hello, this is Morgan Freeman.
No. This is Joseph Thomas, and you are listening to the Craft Parenting Podcast. Joe, we hope you're doing all right. And I mean, hopefully by the time this episode comes out and you listen, you're feeling great. So, but no, it was a fun kind of preview of what Beervent season is. It is not a preview of the box itself because, again, in this specific episode, they haven't seen the box. I don't know if they've even, they did pick it up by the time they get recorded because they mentioned not seeing it.
Yeah, they picked it up.
But yeah, good episode. Listen to it. And if you want deep dives into each day's beer, listen to or watch their daily episodes on Beervent. If you just want funny parodies and social commentary about each day's beer, look at the Truth Beer and Podsequences Facebook page, and that's where I'll be sharing those.
And you want that.
Who doesn't?
So.
Yeah. Do we want to take a break before we hit the last 2 shows that we're going to be doing?
Oh, there's 2 more?
2 more. We have Brew
we should take a
Skies
break.
Booze News and the Brewbound podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
Right back.
All right. We've made it.
Back.
Once again, and we have 2 more shows to talk about. Marco, you have a new beer. I have a new beverage in front of me that I'm very excited about.
I'm excited about that for you.
What do you have?
I have Imperial Headhunter.
Ooh, yes.
From Fatheads because, that's how I roll.
I mean, it's a phenomenal beer.
It is.
And the Imperial version and the wet hop version. Like
so good.
All variants of Headhunter are ridiculous. I'm drinking because might as well. It's not a craft beer. It is a handcrafted beverage, though. Mm-hmm. I am having a hot toddy.
Hell yeah.
Because it is chili and like hot tea with honey and lemon and stuff. It sounded amazing. And then when you add a shot some
whiskey.
A whiskey. I don't know which
whiskey.
I don't know which whiskey is in this. I didn't ask, but I will when I go up there. But
probably gave you just some Evan Williams.
That's fine. It's still practically the temperature of the sun, so it's like all I'm tasting is heat, like literal heat and not like a spicy heat.
Right.
But I'm tasting the tea, I'm getting a bit of that honey, and this is going to be a wonderful way to wind down the evening.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
I might get a tequila later.
I mean,
after this.
Well, I was going to say it's Tequila Tuesday, but it's Bourbon Tuesdays now.
Well, it's Bourbon Tuesdays here.
Yes.
I don't know why anyone didn't consult us and say it's Tequila Tuesday.
You guys are here on Tuesdays. What do you want our special to be? I mean, how hard would that be?
Tequila.
Yes.
Should be tequila.
Well, because they know that we're going to say something like a special in Clase Azul or like a spaghetti special and something that they just do not want to do.
Yeah.
So maybe it's best that they don't consult us for some of these things. All right, we have 2 shows left to talk about. So,
Let's go.
Marco, do you want to talk about Brew Skies Booze? Wow.
We're going to talk about both of them either way.
Which one do you want to start with?
We have Brew Skies and
Brewbound. We saved the brews for last.
Brewbound.
Brewbound? All right.
Because Brew Skies came out yesterday.
This is true.
So.
All right, so this is a national podcast that is talking about local Cincinnati things, which is why we are talking about it. And I thought this was incredibly interesting. When I saw the subject or the title of the podcast, I immediately sent it to you, and I'm like, Marco, we have got to listen to this. We've got to talk about this.
Which is great because I don't know whether you were on that podcast or I was on, like clued into that podcast or I was clued in, but somehow we both had it on our radar, and then it came off of my pod sphere, and I follow it every now and then. Much like when we talked about Adam, which, by the way, Adam Makes Beer is still out there creating content, putting content out every day. Shit ton.
Amazing.
Go listen to Adam Makes Beer. One day, Adam, come on here and let's talk beer and spit poetic or wax poetic about the beer industry. But anyways,
And I'll say full transparency on Adam Makes Beer. The reason, even though it is a Cincinnati-based craft beer content, so it does
is.
fall in our wheelhouse.
it is.
But it is all super technical brewing techniques, and really that.
Yeah.
It's not.
The everyday listener can listen.
Yeah,
But what'll
yeah.
happen is they'll tune out.
Well, and I don't feel.
And it's not because his content isn't pertinent or worthy.
No.
It's because it's a technical podcast.
Well, and I don't know enough about it to be able to recap it and give it just. I'd be like, well, he said this, and I don't know what that means.
It's a one-way conversation. It would be a one-way recap.
Right.
So it's not. We're not shading Adam.
No.
We love that Adam's doing his content out there.
And that's why we mention it as often as we do. Like, hey, reminder,
every
this
week.
is out here.
Go watch, go listen. And
Right.
if you want to get in the business, go listen. If you're in the business, go listen. Go watch.
Right, and he's done interviews with other brewers and other major pieces of other local breweries.
So-
but again, every conversation has been. It's not like the other conversations that we talk about. Tell me about the brewery. What are some of the things that you want to do? What are the things you are most proud of? It is all so incredibly technical. It literally is about making beer.
Yeah, it's about making beer. And he was recently on Beersmith.
Yes.
Which is a beer making software podcast. A podcast from the creator of the beer making software.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, my point is that I was listening to a lot of beer stuff, and then somehow you and I got into Brewbound, and I came out of it, and we even discussed a topic in our pre-production meeting that took me to Brewbound back several years ago when it was hosted by Justin Kendall, but also another co-host who has moved on, and I think he's actually employed by Athletic now.
Okay.
But anyway, so Brewbound, they talked with Garage Beer.
Yeah, Andy
Really?
Sauer and okay. So the title, I'm getting all over the place with this. The episode aired on November 29th, and the title is Garage Beer's Andy Sauer and Corey Smale on finding the craft lager brand's voice.
Okay, so it's a little bit misleading in the sense of half the podcast is opening banter and then
Some
talking
news
about
information,
news
brewery news.
information, and which, by the way, I know we just had Boston Beer a segment ago or whatever. They've got a little legal situation on their hands, which
Yep.
it seems they're navigating through
Pretty well, yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
And then, so it's opening banter, brewery news, or industry news.
Yeah, industry news, because it'll touch on
the whole
RTDs,
alcohol industry.
Yeah.
And then they lead into the actual main interview, which is halfway through the whole podcast.
It's like a 50-some-odd minute podcast, and the interview with Andy and Corey starts at about 31 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yes. Braxton Brewing still brews garage beer and helps with the distribution, but Braxton no longer owns the actual brand. So basically, Braxton is now contract brewing garage beer, which just is a very interesting concept to think about. Like, they no longer own the intellectual property, they no longer own any of the branding, they no longer own the name. They just brew it for some other entity, and then they help distribute it into the markets it needs to be distributed into. And if that's working, cool. But that was very odd, I guess, for me to hear, because I guess when I heard that Garage Beer was branching off into its own company, I guess in my head I thought it's still all going to be owned by that Braxton kind of umbrella. But it was just going to be kind of a almost side business instead of part of the entire Braxton portfolio. But no, it is 100% not owned at all by Braxton from what I understood from this. I mean, I'm sure there are nuances and details that someone else could explain much better than what I tried to glean out of this conversation.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the whole thing still, but I
just squirted lemon on you. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. It helps me taste better. But as we...
Rachel can let me...
Yeah.
Rachel, you're welcome if Marco tastes good tonight.
Yeah.
That sounded so bad.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. We know what we meant, and it was all fine.
Correct. So, I even fast forward into the the episode that we're gonna talk about next, like with Sean Diddy Combs and other things like that. It's like, so would it be so weird if it was a celebrity that decided to create the brand and then own it, and then Braxton made the beer? No,
but this was like the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Like they
Braxton
made it.
created it. They named it. They're the ones that started the brand. They're the ones that made garage beer what it was. And then they just went, for whatever reason, we're okay with getting rid of this chunk of what we created and letting someone else own it.
It almost seems like what they wanted to do was monetize the brand, and somebody was willing to pay for it.
Which, I mean, again, business-wise, okay, whatever.
Fine, if that's what they wanted to do. And so now somebody owns the brand, and now Braxton's brewing it. The only thing I wonder about, it's not the only thing. One of the biggest things I wonder about is they were talking about distribution and this state, that state, and all these things. It's like, can Braxton make beer to supply a demand for all these, or what your projected demand is? And the other thing is that I don't know if all these markets, depending on their craft beer space, I don't know if all these markets care.
Right. There were a couple questions like that I also was going, how does this work? I mean, if you are just contract brewing a beer, who actually handles the licenses and the legalities of distributing it? Like, I couldn't even tell if Andy and Corey, like, are they locally based, or are they out of New York, California? Like, where are they located?
Let me give you another sort of real life scenario.
Right, and is it the place that's brewing the beer that, like, okay, it's brewed in Covington, so Covington's distribution radius, they can distribute to wherever Braxton already has a license to distribute to? Or is this new garage beer company, do they have to start from scratch and apply for licenses to distribute to Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, wherever else in the world? You know what I mean?
Garage beer as a name sounds generic enough, right?
Correct, which is fine.
But let's make it even more generic. Let's just call it light beer in the same can with the same print that garage beer has.
Yes, nothing has changed, right?
Nothing's changed.
Even the same brewed at.
Fine.
Correct.
Let's just call it light beer. I walked into a grocery store and I can get a 6-pack of 16-ounce cans of super mass-produced beer and it's got a sales sticker on it for $4.99.
Okay.
6-pack, 16-ounce.
Sure.
Not craft beer. Now, garage beer, craft beer. 6-pack, 16-ounce, how much? How comparable? And you go in there and it's not called garage beer. It's just called light beer. Are you comparable? Does it matter? And here's where I'm going to say. If you go into your grocery store and you look and you say $4.99 6-pack light beer.
Yeah.
The next closest price point in 6-pack 16 ounces is going to be Coors Light. It's almost double the price, a 6-pack 16 ounce. So, and then in between is a bunch of 12 packs and 30 packs that you can get at a value. but I'm not getting a 6-pack, 16-ounce at $4.99.
Right.
So what is Garage Beer doing? And again, I could say it's white can, it's pretty basic label. Like, what are you doing to get people to want to buy
Notice
it?
that, right.
Yeah, to notice it.
Well, they kind of talked about that a little bit with what they're trying to do with the marketing for it. We are kind of jumping around a whole bunch in the order in which they had this conversation on the Brewbound podcast, kind of jumping back up towards the top of the interview. They believe that we're starting to enter kind of the year of the lager, which I feel like we've been
Every
saying
year
for
is the year of the
3,
lager.
4, 5 years.
Since
We're
the
getting
beginning of beer is the year of the
lager.
Whatever.
They're trying to go back to making the, quote, the your dad's beer, which I don't know if that's necessarily what you want to strive for. Like, do you want to try?
I don't know if we want everyone to trigger memories of their dad. I mean, first, some memories are great, some
Sure.
memories aren't, and I don't
know if saying we want to start bringing back or we want to start making your dad's beer, your grandpa's beer. When I think of those things, I think of this stuff was awful. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want necessarily that. Like saying, we are reimagining your dad's beer, your grandpa's beer. We are improving upon your dad's beer, your grandpa's beer. That I think would work, but I think a lot of people have the memories of, trying a beer with their dad, their grandpa, their, insert whatever family fit. Gosh.
I have those memories. I mean,
right.
I was,
and maybe the first beers you had with them were that you snuck from their Canada barbecue. You're like, this is great. Most of them you're going to go, oh, why do you drink this? You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For sure. Thanksgiving, everybody's. We would go to Texas to go to my grandparents' house, and the Dallas Cowboys football was always on Thanksgiving. We'd have Thanksgiving, and all the men were drinking Bud Heavy, and I would get to have like half a can of a Bud Heavy or something like that, and it tasted terrible,
right? And it's like I feel like I get what they're saying with that. Like, I understand
but it tasted terrible because I was a kid and my palate didn't understand what the hell I was drinking.
Right. I did think it was interesting that they mentioned, or that they stated, that the Midwest fell off of the craft beer train early, and they're picking back up on light beers faster than other areas of the country. I'm wondering where those stats are coming from. I'm wondering where they're pulling that from. And again, are they Midwest-based to where this is what we feel that we're seeing, or is it based on a bigger, I don't want to say global, but national research?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Midwest is way, way, way bigger than Cincinnati market. And
right. Oh, yeah,
we have an embarrassment of riches here, so it's tough to get a beat on the whole market when what we have going on here is really fantastic and expansive. But what I will say is that there still is a condensing of stuff going on here, whether it's packaging or what's happening with what you can get at your local retailer, depending on the retailer,
right.
Like big box stores. There's shrinking happening as far as variety.
Yeah.
And so it's
so maybe they're only looking at big box stores and not the craft beer consumer.
Well, they have to.
As
they
a
have.
whole.
They have to be because
sure.
they even said that big box is their first play.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they're going
big box and on-prem, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going into try and sell garage beer.
I'll bet that Michael, formerly from Medina, will have a lot to say about this part of our episode.
Oh, for sure.
And man, when we get up to Columbus, and sit in that no longer empty warehouse of his.
Oh, I can't
We're going to
wait.
have some phenomenal conversations. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
It's just something that you brought up earlier with how are they going to, what is their plan to kind of market or make this pretty standard looking can of a, I don't want to call it a standard light lager because we know it's craft, but I mean, how do you make that stand out amongst all the others?
I don't think you need to. Yeah, and
Okay.
I hate to cut you off.
No, you're fine. No, go.
I don't think you need to. I think somebody looking for a cheaply or a inexpensive beer, people don't like when you say a cheap beer. An inexpensive beer, they want a white can, they want simple lettering, and they want to see the price point and the value. Whether it's 6-pack, 12-pack, 24-pack, 30-rack, whatever it is, they want to know if I had glaucoma and I walked up to a cooler, like, I know this one represents the best value, period.
Yeah.
That's what they want to know. And they pull it out, whether it's, again, a 6-pack, 12-pack, 30-rack, a cube of beer.
Right.
Like, this is value, and it tastes like, quote-unquote, beer.
Yeah. They talked about trying to hit those marks and make you look at garage beer versus these other lager offerings that are out there by being funny as a brand in social media, in advertising, trying to figure out how to poke fun at your audience without offending them, kind of like, playing up on the people that are drinking our beer are probably the people wearing jorts and Crocs. And maybe using that in their advertising. They said they don't think they're aware that they're probably never going to hit that level of amazing, and I don't even know if this is an actual phrase, but I'm going to say it, corporate snark like that Wendy's has on some of their social media accounts.
Yeah.
But trying to figure out how to make that the advertising presence, the social media presence of your brand attractive really is almost key anymore.
Didn't we touch on a couple of years ago the Wendy's social media situation?
I want to say we did. I want to say it was. I don't remember if it was recorded or not, but I know that we've talked about it.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
That, and by the way, that
great.
You can go back and either find our stuff or you can go and look it up. And basically, that person doesn't exist at Wendy's any longer, and they're trying to, perpetuate whatever that sort of
they realize that it's stuck,
intuition was.
Yeah. Well, and now look at so many other social media accounts. I mean, there are national parks, like the I think it's Oklahoma National Park. I now follow them on Twitter because they have these amazing educational yet ridiculously funny posts.
Right.
And that's what's like, what I may never go to the Oklahoma State Park. Maybe I will. I'd love to, but I may never do that. But what they're doing with their branding, the sense of humor.
Let's go.
Yes, let's take a trip.
Yeah, that'll happen.
We'll do that after the pig.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the pick.
Yes.
Because we've all set that's going to happen.
Yes. We've said it in multiple recordings, so it has to.
It has to happen.
Yes.
So, but I actually find it, and I said a few podcasts ago, I have not done what Brett said, where he just gets mass-produced lager, and then supplements craft here and there. I will admit, in the past 2 weeks, I have bought 2 6-packs of cheap mass-produced lager.
Oh my God, I'm so
know.
disappointed.
I know.
No, not really.
I know.
Drink what you want to drink.
I have. It was $5. $5 for a 6-pack of 16 ounces. I said like 10 minutes ago or
Right.
whatever.
Did you say a 5-pack of 16 ounces?
A 6-pack of 16 ounces.
Okay. I misheard you.
It was for $5 though.
Okay. My brain twisted the numbers around.
The beer was...
I'm like, a 5-pack? Interesting.
The beer was beer, and it was fine to underwhelming, and Would I have liked something local in its place for the same price? I would have paid it.
Sure.
But I don't know if it would have been any better or not.
Yeah.
I mean, for the purpose.
For the price point, right, exactly.
But if you're going for that, I just want to say good luck, and I hope you do. There's a lot to overcome to get to that space, and I don't know if the dollars and cents work out to make that happen.
I think locally, I think in the current, and I'm just going to say Braxton Garage Beer distribution circle, it's going to be fine as long as they don't, fuck up the formula somehow. But I think that getting into other markets outside of where garage beer is already established is going to be challenging. But I mean, good on them for taking up the challenge.
Yeah.
Seeing what they can do.
Let's see what happens.
It's still, to me, it's still technically a Braxton beer. And I'm using air quotes for people not on the live stream. But yeah, I mean, this was just kind of an interesting little peek behind the curtain on what garage beer, or who garage beer is part of now, and what ties they still have to Braxton. The only two notes that I have left, one was about distribution, which we already talked about, and the last note that I have on this is they currently have regular garage beer and lime garage beer.
Yeah.
So they talked about, is that portfolio going to expand? Is there going to be something else on the horizon?
Yeah.
Or are you sticking with this? All I'm going to say about that, and the reason you should listen to this episode of the Brewbound podcast from November 29th, Garage Beer's Andy Sauer and Corey Smale on finding the craft lager brand's voice, Bush Peach may have a run for its money.
Woo!
Yep. Anything else from you, Marco, on this one?
No. Let's.
It was a good listen, but I do want to say I wish that they would have dove a little more into kind of the nuts and bolts of the separation between Braxton and garage beer, but I understand that that's not what this interview was necessarily about. Maybe that'll happen in another podcast on another platform somewhere down the road, but it is a very interesting thing. Again, I thought Braxton was staying under the Braxton umbrella, but they were just trying to make it its own separate side business instead of actually selling it off. Maybe I just didn't pay enough to the press releases and the news about it, and it's not surprising to anyone else that that's what it was. Either way, good deal.
Yeah, good deal.
All right, let's take a real quick break because between the water and the hot toddy and all that.
The water is hitting me crazy.
Me too. So let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to talk about some Brew Skies Booze news. We'll be right back. Holy cow. That was fun.
Holy cow.
You almost fell off your chair. That's how much fun we're having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lula wasn't even here.
It's true. See, it happens even without the dog. What you got in your glass?
I have Low G.
Excellent. Fantastic beer. The house beer here at the highest of gravities. All right, what do you say we go ahead and run through Brew Skies Booze news from December 4th, 2023. Is it a bear market for booze?
Yeah, and then right off the intro, I see Brett and Mike, and I'm like, wow, what are they doing? Were they interviewing for something?
That's the first
they're
note.
All polished up.
First note that I have matches yours exactly.
Correct.
Let's talk fashion first.
Okay.
First off, very nice gentleman. You had Mike, which, slight side note, did you know that the plural for Mike is mice?
Stop it.
It's true.
So if you have a gaggle,
of mics, you have a whole bunch of mice.
Mice.
I learned that on Your Stupid Opinion. Did you not listen yet?
I did.
Or did you just miss that little...
I missed that.
Yeah, that was about the terrible hotel.
Oh, the
which
hotel
tied into
was
an episode
fucking
of Crime.
terrible.
Worst hotel in the world.
Yeah, that hotel was fucking awful.
Listen to the episode of Crime and Sports that refers to. I'll look it up for you. It's... Holy crap, that poor guy. All I'm saying. First off,
There's the death. involved.
Yes.
A murder.
Yes. Which, I mean, explains just the entire aura of this motel that they talked about the reviews of. So the fashion. I actually took a couple notes on both Mike and Brett's fashion for this episode because it was phenomenal.
It stood out.
Starting off with Michael D. Morgan.
Yeah.
He was wearing an amazing, perfectly tailored charcoal suit jacket over a fitted V-neck, crisp black T-shirt.
And his head was freshly polished.
Yes.
And his facial hair was crisp and clean.
Yeah, neatly trimmed, very, very recently.
It's very less hobo-ish.
Yes. The manscaping was done exquisitely today. And then
Good job.
And then if we move on to Brett, he was wearing a very fashionable Urban Artifact slim fit long sleeve T-shirt.
Yeah.
Brilliant design.
Hair was on point.
I even had his flowing locks are in a very fresh side part today.
Yeah, on point, and just the presentation.
They look
just
great.
They were sparkling, as if they were maybe they had a meeting prior to or just after about maybe, I don't know, podcasting or podcast sponsoring or some sort of Jim Cook, maybe something having to do with the future or success of anything that they're doing.
Phenomenal gentlemen, absolutely phenomenal.
Great work.
Fantastic. Then they got immediately into the question of the day, which they're now doing at the beginning of the show, and then they answer at the end of the show.
It's good.
What is the best thing you ate or drank on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
So again, we'll talk about that maybe at the end of the recap. There was an Anchor Brewing update.
Yeah. Let's go, Julia.
Basically, Sapporo gave the middle finger and a big fuck you to the employees and just went, we're just going to auction off everything from the intellectual property to the equipment. Doesn't matter what the employees want. We don't give a shit.
Yeah, Brett and Mike go a little bit deeper into it, but basically Sapporo said, fuck all the way off.
Pretty much. I did like the conversation that they dived into with where is Fritz Maytag and all this.
Yeah, where is he?
And if they had the money that Fritz had, just buy it and sell it to the employee. You know what I mean?
They would
not even
have
give
went
it.
down a little bit larger of a rabbit hole and extrapolated that to everyday life. Not just if I had the money that Fritz Maytag had and he's 90 years old and he's gonna fucking die at some point. Soon, maybe not so soon. He could live to 110.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he has the money to buy this back, and he could sell it back to the employees. He's a businessman. He wouldn't just give it to them for free like charity. But he would sell it back to the employees, and then I was more interested if they were going to go down. What else would they do with this fuck you money? What other things would Mike and Brett want to do with fuck you money?
Yeah, that's true. So Brett and Mike, know you're big listeners of the show. Maybe that can be your next question of the day.
I think it's great.
I think it'd be
tell
fantastic.
us what you would do with fuck you money.
More Diddy Combs news. Basically,
this piece of shit.
Basically, he's been having a bad couple of weeks. That's all I really want to say about it because I don't want to give him any more time than that.
He's a piece of shit.
He's not making any money, and Mike was fired the fuck up about that.
Oh, I love it.
It was amazing.
I love it.
It was absolutely amazing.
And apparently 50 Cent is having a lot of fun with this as well.
True that. Very true. There are dumb brewery laws in New Jersey and Montana.
The brewery laws in New Jersey are fucking terrible.
Well, what they have been reverted back to. I guess we could clarify or tease or whatever.
Fucking terrible.
They were still terrible. However, they're being made even more terrible by the potential
of the
reversion.
Dirty fucking politicians.
Yes.
This got all the way to the governor to improve the laws to the point where they were close to something that we see every day. And the governor just vetoed it.
He's just like, nah, the 1800s are so much better.
Because he is in the pocket of all these lobbyists. So he just vetoed it. And it's awful. The New Jersey laws around craft beer are stupid, terrible. Stupid, terrible.
Agreed. I don't think there's any debate about that at all.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah. Then from that, they moved into what the fuck is premiumization, which led to another amazing rant.
It's
And
wonderful.
it's absolutely...
It's wonderful. Premiumization. It's wonderful. I stopped. Rachel happened to be in the room when I was watching this, and I think Rachel sort of halfway pays attention to some of these things, but I stopped it and I just started to vent.
Yeah.
You know, basically what's going on in the economy for the past several years is not any indifferent than any other time in the economy, which is the rich just get richer.
Yep.
And then everybody else sort of falls into whatever sort of, you know, situation they're in. I don't know if I have a situation I could banter back with.
Yeah. I don't.
But
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like as far as premium categories and things like that, yes, a year ago or a year and a half ago, I purchased a premium bottle of tequila. I'm not in the situation or place where I'd purchase that again. But
you're not buying that on a weekly basis, or
no,
you know, like buy the
absolutely
case
not.
or whatever. Right.
Absolutely
right.
not. But people are. There are people
Sure,
who could
sure,
do that.
Sure.
And
I think for someone to do something like that, you know, on occasion, that's you know what I mean. Like I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, once
But it's
every
like-
2 years Utopias comes out, I'm always ready to pull the trigger and buy one.
Same, yeah.
I just haven't.
Yeah.
And I haven't because it hasn't been... Honestly, it's because I haven't gone to a place to try to do it.
Same.
It's almost like I'm waiting it to fall out of the air.
Right.
And I'm like,
if I happen
yeah,
to
I'll
be
just,
somewhere and I see it,
can I just
okay,
pay you for
but-
that since it's right here? Like, you know, but...
Yeah,
but,
I'm not running around to the different, you know, bottle shops and liquor stores
No,
and Costco's or
absolutely
whatever.
not.
But if I happen to be somewhere and it is there,
I'd love
hell
to,
yeah,
I'd
absolutely,
love to get it.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, Mike revealed that he's a Kentucky Colonel. It was kind of like a quick little, hey, yeah, and I'm one of these.
Yeah.
So I did a little research.
Let's go.
There is a Michael D. Morgan that was a Kentucky Colonel. There was another Mike Morgan Esquire, which we know Mike's a lawyer,
Mike is a lawyer.
that Governor Bashir bestowed the Kentucky colonelship on. So I cannot cry bullshit on this one. Mike,
Congratulations
Yeah,
to Colonel.
to your colonelship.
Michael brings the D. Morgan.
I would love to see him do an episode of Brew Skies Booze News wearing his all-white colonel outfit.
That's right.
Yeah. Mike also explained why
What does that
he
look
feels... I got nothing. Why drinks giving is in a decline. And I thought that his theory or explanation could very well be 100% spot on.
There's a difference between a hypothesis and a theory.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell you which it is because all of you can look it up. And, I mean, we know what it is, but you can look it up. But his assertion as to why Drinksgiving has not been as big as it has been in previous years makes very, very good logical sense.
Absolutely does.
I will say, as being somebody who is actively a manager in the bar business, there's certainly a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that his assertion is not in any way an influence or possibly leading back to, correct in a way. I think it does play a part in a bigger sort of sphere where that's absolutely understandable. Now, I'm without giving away what his deduction was. What I would say is I would ask our listeners to think about your own personal experiences and what did you do? Did you go out and support a local business? Did you go out and, partake in Drinksgiving or, the Friendsgiving, at a bar? Did you go
Blackout Wednesday,
Blackout whatever it is? Did you go and do it? Have you done it in the past? And what stopped you, or what prohibited you? What was the barrier?
Yeah, if that was a thing, is it still a thing? And if it's not, why not? Yeah.
Correct. If not, why not? And so what I would say is that we can look to ourselves for many of these answers.
Sure. 3 other notes that I had on this episode, and then the sip count. The most important part of the recap. Mike's girlfriend stories are absolutely amazing. So definitely listen to hear about some of the people that he has dated in the past.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
True that. This I thought was kind of funny. They talked about Sam Adams potentially releasing a non-alcoholic beverage that is 60% fruit water, whatever that is, and 40% beer. And then they're talking about, like, what the hell is this? How is this a thing? And then I'm going, didn't Urban just release a non-alcoholic fruit juice too?
They did.
Although that's probably all real fruit, where Sam Adams may be all fruit flavoring. Again, I know Urban uses real fruit, so I'm very confident saying that. Sam Adams, I don't know what fruit water is, so I don't want to assume it's flavoring.
Idea.
No clue, but I just thought that was kind of a funny, well, what is this? Isn't this just juice? And I'm like, Brad, didn't you just release juice?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
Wouldn't he be the guy that we'd ask? And
Absolutely.
if he doesn't know, I don't know.
Absolutely.
How am I going to fucking know if he doesn't know? Jesus.
Right. Non-alcoholic story.
He's the guy who just bought a fucking laundromat to, pasteurize
to freshen
his beer.
His beer. Yeah. Do you
I don't have that kind of fucking coin.
No kidding.
What?
Do you have to put in dryer sheets with that stuff?
Yeah, well, we use the big ones, the big pet ones.
The like bounce.
Well, the pet ones, they're like a trifold situation.
Yes.
I still have dog hair over everything that I have, even though over the past year, unfortunately, R.I.P. Love you, Zeus. We had to say goodbye to the biggest shedder in our house.
Sip count. Because that's fun.
Was that fast enough?
That was fast enough.
All right, let's go.
So, I have got to say, this week's sip count for Brew Skies Booze News is amazing.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
They hit the golden number.
69.
They had 69 sips, which, okay, to be fair, Brett was taking smaller sips. Like you could see that. So if you go by a 1 ounce
because he has to be the responsible one.
Right. If you go by a 1 ounce sip, they still covered 4.3 pints.
Are you fucking around with the sip count?
No, I did 2 versions. I did our version, and then if someone wants to complain and say you could tell Brett was taking very small sips.
That's fine.
I'm like, just to appease the haters, if they did a 1 ounce sip, that's still 4.3 pints. But if you go by our math, 2 ounce sips, that is 138 ounces, which is 8.625 pints, which means they hit that binge drinking bell.
Congratulations on binge drinking.
Guys.
If you were doing the, I don't know
if you're drinking along,
during the Brew Skies.
It was a longer episode, 36 minutes, but that's still a lot of sips.
if you hit fucking 8 pints in 36 minutes,
dead.
Woo!
Dead.
Woo! Congratulations to you, ma'am.
All right. Well, this was a longer episode than I thought we were going to have, but you know what? We had a lot of fun doing it.
We did have a lot of fun, yeah. And it was longer than I expected, but that's how we do it.
Though. If you like what we've done, please be sure to like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, share, tell people about it. You know all the things that we want to do. All of our episodes are audio only on YouTube. We do occasionally put out some bonus videos here and there, so follow us, subscribe on YouTube as well. We are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms. You can send us an email to truthbeerpod@gmail.com. Links to absolutely everything that we have is at our website. Believe it or not, truthbeerpod.com.
Wow,
that includes
crazy.
a link to our Patreon. So if you want the unedited episodes
Which you do.
Which you absolutely do. The only things that I cut out are the silences when we get other beers, because why the hell do you want 20 to 30 minutes of dead air while we start talking to people here at higher gravity?
Farts.
Or those, yeah.
Yeah.
As impressive as they may be, we know that no one wants to hear those.
No.
That's an experience that no one really wants, but somehow we still manage to get. Subscribe to our Patreon. Links are all on our website, truthbeerpod.com. If you like beer events, please follow our sister podcast, Cincy Beer Events. We let you know all about the upcoming beer events happening in and around the greater Cincinnati area, going on for about 3 months. Those release every Wednesday. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing, but I don't think there is.
That's crazy that we do that.
It is.
Cincy beer events. We talk about beer events.
Beer events. Imagine that. It's a great show. Follow that as well. Marco?
Julia?
What are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
I hope...
We do that early. We should be saying, like, after I'm going to be here, you know?
You know what? We're going to do this.
Yes.
We're going to do this again. And we have scheduled to be here.
Yes.
Follow us on social media to find out if this is where we're actually going to be.
And Joe K., I know that we need to schedule a time for you to come and be on the show, because you were the first one at Beer Booze Bunks. I honestly think that schedules are a little bit crazy coming up towards Christmas. We would love for you to be our first guest of 2024. So yes. I will send you a message and we will see what works out best for you.
Yeah.
And we will absolutely 100% get you on the show. You have listened to us for so long.
Joe K.
You've listened to us and been a supporter for so very long, and I apologize that I have been so terrible at reaching back out to you.
No, it's not terrible. We
yes.
talked about it. It's like it didn't work.
But I haven't followed
maybe...
through. Yes. All right. Anyway, Marco.
Cheers.
I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye,
everyone.
See you
soon. Bye.